whole lot to be thankful for. One of the main cogs in my success is having a football coach's wife. In a few days, we're going to celebrate our 58th year. And it'd be interesting if you see her and get to talk to her, you might ask her, did you have any idea what you were getting into? She did not have a clue, and she went with the flow. I was so lucky because, being married to a college football coach takes a lot of hours, takes you away from your family. My kids, I wasn't always around for them, but I was blessed. I had a good partner that let me blossom. Things I'm grateful for. We just finished Thanksgiving, and I sat and thought, I had so many stories and things that I could get into, but I looked back and I said, first of all, I'm thankful for Dr. William Rainey Harper. And for those of you that don't know who that was, there would be no community college without him. He came up with the idea to let the people that could not get to a four-year school have an opportunity to post-high school education and have community college. That concept was his. And I stand before you, if that didn't exist, I wouldn't be up here. I grew up in Chicago, and they got this, they call them the city colleges. Those are community colleges in the city. And my background, I have so many things to be thankful for. At this stage of my life, I look back and I kind of have to say, how the hell did I get here? And coaches had a big part. The first coach that affected my life, like he didn't know it was going to and I didn't, was a high school teacher of mine that said, hey, why don't you come out for football? I was going into my junior year. I had never played football. We had no youth football. I had no big brothers. I had immigrant parents, so football was not something I grew up with. And for some reason, and I don't even know to this day, I said, yeah, I'll give that a try. And so I went out. I didn't even know how to put equipment on. I didn't know crap. But I stuck it out. And that planted the seed in my life. And by the second year, I actually got to play. And the hook happened. I call it the hook. I go back and think about, why did I really jump into the sport? And I was a angry, unhappy, lack of self-image teenager, and I got in some troubles growing up. I know it's hard to imagine, but it did happen. And I could hit people and not get in trouble. God, what a gift. And when I look back, that was the hook. That had to be the hook. But at the same time, I was not into schooling. I didn't like school at all. I can remember they had to drag me to kindergarten. I hated even going there. And because of that, we had Wright College, which is a community college in the city, and they had football. That's the only reason I even thought of going. And back then, it cost me a total of $10 to register. The tuition was paid by our taxes, believe it or not. You won't get that now, but that's what it was. So I figured, hey, I'm not going to lose money. I can handle $10. So I went after their team, and they were the only school. They were damn good. They had the whole city of Chicago to find kids. So it was mass tryouts, but I had it in me. I'm going to make it, and I did. I played. I enjoyed it. But as soon as football was over, I lost total focus about education. So at the end of the year, they politely invited me to leave, which I did. And then my real education started. I went to work in construction as a laborer. And at the moment, as a 19, 20-year-old, I thought I had the world by the ass. I mean, I thought I had my own money, I could buy my own car, and that lasted for about 2 years. And then God had bigger plans for me. I had an epiphany on the construction site. Some of you might have heard this story when I had parents and players come in, and I talked to them about junior college or community college. I sometimes called it my caboose story. Had that not happened, and I swear to God, I think God, I had my epiphany and it was God that was orchestrating it at that moment. Didn't realize it when it happened, but now I certainly do. I said, hey, I really miss that football stuff. I should go back. I gotta try. And that was a challenge on a lot of levels. One, can I really be a college student academically since I never gave a damn? So that was a challenge. Two, I had to get back in. And this is hard to believe, but back then I went back to the school that they kicked me out of, which was Wright College, and they made you write an essay about what you've been doing, Jack, since we threw you out of here. So I wrote the story, truthfully. The guy comes back and says, you don't need to come back, you got a good job. I couldn't believe it. Now what do I do? Well, luckily they were opening a new branch for the city college and they needed warm bodies. I heard about it, they let me in, and then I had to get my associate's degree in order to have a chance to go somewhere. So I started studying, and guess what? I started to like learning. It was amazing. I mean, I learned stuff I never even gave a damn about before. And it was no problem. I got my associate's degree. This is a true story. I met my best friend there, who was a scholarship athlete, played for Lane Tech, which was 5,000 boys at the time. And he was a tough football player, and he was on scholarship, and he flunked out. And his dad wouldn't talk to him for 2 years. But I met him, he was doing the same thing I was, trying to get his grades. And he did, and I did, and I said, where are you going to school? I'm going to Southern Illinois University. They recruited me in high school, and they heard I was available, and they wanted me to come. You think they'll let me come out? We got on a train, the IC, down to Carbondale in the summer. I got all dressed up in a sport coat and looked good. Stepped off the train, it was 105, humid as hell. And we met a coach and I said, can I come out? And they said, yeah. 5 seasons had gone by since I last played football. Think about that. You couldn't do that now. The rules aren't the same. And I walked on, and I was determined to make it. And I earned a scholarship in about 2 weeks, which I had enough money to get through 1 year, but if I got on scholarship, I might even be able to finish. And that was great. And I played with great guys. We weren't good, and I kept getting better and bigger. I was committed. And the last year I was having a great year, and I got hurt. I was actually, and this isn't why I went there, and in this day and age things are so different. Kids are in 8th grade and they're NFL prospects. I was just glad to make the team, get things paid for, and stay alive. I got hurt it ended my playing career late in my senior year, and it was over in an instant. And that's tough to deal with psychologically. I mean, it made it worse that they were telling me I might be able to go and play professionally. So I started to get my heart set on it. And in an instant, my life changed. And another coach entered my life. He was my position coach. And I was in the hospital for like 3 weeks, and I wound up in the PE facility. I had a full cast. I was on crutches. And this coach says, hey, come here. He brought me in his office, and he said, what are you going to be doing? Well, I'm finishing mid-year, and I'm going home. I am getting married, and I got to go find a job. He went and picked up his phone, and by the time I left that office, I had a coaching job and a teaching job at Fenwick High School. Didn't even know what that was. It was a great place to start my coaching career, however. And he looked me in the eye, and this is another thing I'll never forget. He knew I was despondent and I was down. And he looked me in the eye, and he said, I know you're down and upset. You thought you'd be doing other things. And he looked me in the eye and he says, you need to start your life's work. Wow. Wow. And I did. And God was with me the whole way. He gave me the opportunity to fulfill my purpose on earth. Besides being a husband, a father, a grandfather, football gave me a great life. And God made sure I was going to pay it forward. And those kids that I coached all those years, guess what? I saw myself in them. And I said, you're not going to screw up. You're not going to get a detour. I mean, that's my caboose story. The odds were really not in my favor to make it. But my love of football, the passion he gave me, and the direction that he gave me, God sent me to do the Lord's work. And I truly believe that. Al Snyder, I want to thank you. I couldn't get through that letter that you heard Guy read for you. His plaque is right here. The other half of the story, I guess he didn't mention, I didn't hear him, but he was like the greatest kid you ever wanted to coach. Just super. Yes, good student, good player. He led us to our only undefeated season as a freshman at quarterback. And he loved it at Harper, and he had a great experience, and he got a scholarship to Lehigh University. He was a strong academic kid, and he just needed an opportunity to play at the higher level, and it worked out for him. The sad part about it is he was graduated, had a great job, and accidentally got killed at age 23. And I went to his wake, and I'll never forget it. And that letter you heard, it turned out to be, what should you tell your mom if you know you're going to die? If you really look at the content of it, and I go, how ironic. And I saved the letter, and I gave it to the family. And I got a beautiful letter back some years later, and it gave them comfort. But that's one of our MVP, what I did was, we started a scholarship fund in his name, in his memory, at Harper, the Al Snyder Memorial Scholarship. We give it out every year. And those t-shirts, if you buy, so any profit that's going in there, and here's my plea to you is, these films that have been digitalized, they're not, the whole thing isn't completely done, but a big chunk of it is, and you will be able to go through the internet and get connecting with Harper. Yeah, they didn't go into any details, but if you go to the Harper website and go to library and go to, they have a site for football digital films. You can go on there and download your football films. Many of them, they're not all out there yet, but there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them, and that's a gift to you from Harper. But I would like to ask, if you take advantage of it, that you think of contributing to the Al Snyder Memorial Scholarship and get that to be a bigger scholarship. It's about, it gives a kid about $1,400 a year to go to Harper, so it's significant. I get a letter from the people that have gotten it, and they're really great letters. It makes a big difference in their lives that they can stay in school or do things that they otherwise couldn't. But anyway, the stories about Harper, I am blessed. I got more stories. I could stay up here for hours talking about the success. We have a doctor, we have lawyers, Notre Dame graduate lawyers, Northwestern graduate lawyers. We've got players that went to the NFL. We got coaches in the NFL. We got referees in the NFL that played at Harper. Think about that. We're all over the place. Entrepreneurs, businessmen, terrific people. And I was privileged. The blessing was to me to be able to work with those kind of people. And God, a prayer would be that someday that we can do that for the future kids by bringing that sport back in community college. I can dream, and I can hope. But you know the difference it made in your life. I know the difference it made in mine. Thank you for being here, and God bless all of you.
We're going to bring Coach back up. When we first started talking about this night and things that we could do to give back, one of the great things about networking with all kinds of people, we've got some friends at NJCAA Merge Services, and when they heard the story of John and what he's been trying to do, and certainly you can see on the up on the screen, there's Al, there's Mr. Schneider. And so this is a gift that was given to us. You'll see shortly there'll be a website for all alumni merchandise. All of those proceeds go to support that foundation. And Coach, to kick it off, our good friends at Integral Merge Services got you a custom hoodie. You can't just get this. This is a one-off. Retail value is well over $100. I don't know, it's got special heating in it and all kinds of cool stuff. But Coach, here's the front. But, okay, if you were a player, you stand up because I think you know what time it is. Let's read the back.
Fourth quarter, boys.
What time is it? What quarter is it? And one little fun fact. Coach actually made this logo himself. I know. Who knew? Who knew? I guess you didn't get kicked out of that class.
Hey, the box of bread goes a long way, right?
So anyways, we just want to thank to our friends at Integral Merch, but just let everyone know, we'll be having all kinds of merchandise. There'll be different colors, there'll be hoodies, there'll be t-shirts, and we'll have our own store moving forward. So just want to let you guys all know that. But that, again, is just something we want to do in the legacy of John Eliasik. Thank you.
Oh, I found my glasses. No, these. Coach, are these yours? Yours. All right, guy. Just a couple announcements, I think. Make sure I have your name, email, phone number. If you guys don't have my email, find it somehow. We want to continue this, and I'm super excited. The next one could be on campus at Harper. I think that would be really cool to go back, and I think it represents well too, with perhaps the mission or the dream of maybe getting things back someday at Harper College in relation to football. So I'm going to put a list together. You're probably going to get a couple emails. I didn't really share the list, which kind of hurt a little bit in putting that together because I didn't want to, for lack of a better expression, piss anyone off with privacy information. And I was running it through my company because I didn't have, outside of paying for another database, this was the way I did it. But I do plan on putting a list together. Hopefully we can get some other people involved so that we have that for future years. And then the other thing I just wanted to, please take home that foundation paper. Consider a brick, consider a scholarship donation. Let's get that thing. I think the quicker we just get that to $25,000, folks, would show a lot. And there's different options on there, but if you take that home and really maybe consider giving a gift back to the program that did so much for each and every one of us. This one I wanted to point out because I think we just, this is my favorite picture, coaching, playing. And if you come up and look at this, I think we lost Marlon Jordan a few months ago, didn't we? Marlon Jordan, I was coaching. Marlon Jordan and Joe Sinquilpalmi, different races, different cultures, different kids. But they were teammates. And it's just cool. Two guys, I think that was after the Ellsworth game in '96. And just engaged, hugging each other, crying. That's the way life should be. And a lot of times it's, you wanna say something? All right. A little Pollyanna, but to me that represents Harper football at its core. And I just think that's cool. Let's get this thing to 25 grand quickly. Let's get Elf Scholarship Fund funded here. And let's maybe make an impact where they can't help but think, hey, maybe there's something to that football team. There's, I know I did. I graduated high school, 1.98. And I made the dean's list the last 2 years. And I really screwed up good early on in order to get there, but I had a second chance. In fact, I had a second chance at 8 or 9 schools at one point. Meaning there were other places to choose in Illinois. And I think we've lost something here. And if you're gonna tell me, the opportunity that really hurts here are poor kids. Kids that maybe didn't make the grades that deserve a second chance. If the community college is truly about the community, we need to make an effort to try to pay this forward so some kids can have the same experience that we had. Short of that, you would like to say something?
Yes, sir.
And I will allow that, like it makes me feel powerful or something. It doesn't.
For you that don't know me, I'm Ken Staples. I played for John in '84, '85. I came from a town, you probably know it now, but nobody knew it then. It's called Lake Zurich. It was like living in the middle of Wisconsin compared to Palatine. I was 176 pounds, an all-state linebacker out of Lake Zurich. 176 pounds, playing middle linebacker, you ain't going very far. Loved football, just didn't have the size and had the heart. I was told by a couple guys that I had a really big heart, and one sitting right there, that was John Newcomb. I came home one night, I was a farm kid. I worked in dirt my whole life. I walked through the door, my mother said, hey, Coach Eliasik called. He wants you to call him back. And I told Mrs. Eliasik this tonight. He's from Harper College. I go, where the fuck is Harper College? And it was only in Palatine. And he says he wants to talk to you. I said, all right. I call him back, in his grizzly voice. Yeah, hello. I said, Coach, it's Kenny Staples. I said, I'm returning. Yeah. He goes, I heard you're not going to play football anymore. You want to play football? I said, yeah. He said, well, you come on down and meet with me. And I did. From that day on, everybody talks about being a winner, teaches you to be what he surrounded us with. He surrounded us with good people. And I look at John Eliasik and I look at John Newcomb, that were two of the closest people in my life at a time of your life as a 17 and 18-year-old young man, that you go in a lot of different directions. And like John said, he didn't let us do the caboose story. If you did, you got kicked in the caboose. I got turned over to John Newcomb from John on the defensive side of the ball. And John said, come down and play for me. Well, I thought, well, shit, I'm just going to walk in, I'm going to play football, right? No, that's not how it works. And Newcomb, John worked with me, and he'd get me in my freshman year, and I started playing more and more and more, and I'm like, Coach, I want to play. And the season was about 3/4 of the way over, and I met with John, and I still think he told me this. He says I told him that, but I think he's full of shit. But he said, he told me, that's why I say the heart thing. He said, you got the heart. He says, you come back next year, he said, you put a little size on, and he says, you'll tear it up. I came back, I think I was 232 pounds, running a 4.65 40, and John Newcomb and John Eliasik made me an All-American football player at Harper College. Not only did they make me an All-American, but they taught me how to be a man and a leader. And I was sitting at a table tonight. The last time we all got together, I got to get back with some of my old players. But I thank them all. Because I was a middle linebacker. And my team voted me the most valuable player that year as a linebacker. And some of them always explained to me, it's because you were a great leader. And I got the leadership from these two men right there to play on a football field. The leadership went forward. Timmy can contest to this. Later on in life, that's where I met Tim. I knew he played at Harper. I knew his nephew. I knew his brother. They dissolved a football program in our town. And our kids were just coming of age to start playing youth football. And I went to a board meeting and I said, well, how can you dissolve football? It's too much of a liability. Most kids want to play baseball. And I said, no, that's not true. I said, I tell you what, I said, I'm going to buy the football league. I'm going to start a football league, a youth football league. You can't do that. I said, watch me. Timmy, contest to this. I started a sports program up in Wakanda, Illinois. I started a junior football league, and it's still going to this day. Because I want these kids to be able to play and be men like we were taught. Everybody here, somewhere down the line, has got leadership from us being at Harper, the experience that we all experienced at Harper. It's went on in life. It's made us all successful somehow. And we owe all the people that are involved, John starting with John Eliasik, but all the way down all the coaches, all your teammates. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kenny. I think I was thinking about ending the night and defining legendary and trying to be cute about it at the same time. You were born in Czechoslovakia? No? You were born here. It screws up my story. I thought your parents were immigrants, you were born here. I was just kind of thinking, Coach, you're so old you outlived your country, but it's not going to work now. Which would be pretty legendary. Given the current situation, though, that sort of crashed and burned. Guys, thanks for coming out. One more big round of applause for Coach Eli. There we go. You know, the good news is, he didn't move any faster. Unless you played him in racquetball, he'd kick your ass. Lou, I was just looking too, we got one thing to look at. The NJCAA has him at only 120 losses. I got it on my phone. I printed it off. And I'm thinking that we should all say a prayer for Lou because he's getting old. It's all good. Anyhow, guys, thanks for coming out. Feel free to mingle. Oh, we need everybody get together. Where's the best place to do a picture? Right up here? All right, we need everybody up for a picture.
Hey, let's get out and play golf next year.